Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Let's Win second annual benefit. At this time, we need everyone to make your way to the podium. Everyone, make your way to the podium. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, make your way towards the podium at this time. So at this time, ladies and gentlemen, we are about to begin the program. So please help me welcome with a warm round of applause. Let's hear it for Mr. David Price.
It's an evening on the Upper East Side and there's unlimited food. I know how we all react to that. If we can, let's bring the back forward. Let's try and come up a little bit and kind of show that sense of community, which we all have on a night like this. So let's go back to elementary school. Everyone take 3 steps forward. 3 steps forward. You stay back. 3 steps forward. So, good evening, everyone. I mean, even with the acoustics, that sounds anemic. Good evening, everyone. Much better, much better. So I want to remind you, we have a very short and limited program tonight. There is plenty of time to socialize and to celebrate and to enjoy camaraderie, but I ask that just for the next 20 minutes or so, if we can focus our eyes, our ears, our mind, and our heart on what's going on these screens and on this podium, that would be wonderful. Fair enough? Yes. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say, what do you say? What do you say? Nay? Nay. Boy, it's just like being subpoenaed in Washington, isn't it? That'll be much funnier on your way home. You'll realize how funny that is when you're in your cabs. So, I want to welcome everyone to what is another incredible night, our 2nd annual benefit. And I want to thank each and every one of you for being here. Before we begin, a round of applause for all the people at Gustavino's who have been so hospitable for us tonight. And the volunteers and men and women who have put this evening together. Let's get right to the program. I want to introduce Willa Shallot, who is the chair of the Let's Win board. A round of applause as we welcome Willa.
Hi, good evening. Hey, I'm Willa Shallot, board chair for Let's Win, and thank you all so much for coming. What an amazing turnout. You and I are here because in one way or another, we've been gripped by pancreatic cancer. We're founders, scientists, physicians, and family members. And increasingly, we are people diagnosed with pancreatic cancer who are proving that the diagnosis is not a death sentence. I was introduced to this community by my dear friend Ann Glauber. Funny, beautiful, passionate, brilliant Anne had a breakthrough vision on behalf of this community. She imagined a source of life-saving knowledge, a vision that is now Let's Win. A special thank you this evening to our lead sponsors, the Gray Foundation, Celgene, the Gavins, Madison Square Garden, New York Presbyterian Weill Cornell, the Sirotas, and the Grodins. In addition to the gifts of these major sponsors, each of you has made a significant contribution through your donations and your presence. Our thanks to you all. There would be no celebration this evening, and there would be no Let's Win were it not for the remarkable Lustgarten Foundation. Just as Lustgarten once nurtured the only 12 scientists working in this field, turning a dozen researchers into thousands, so Lustgarten nurtured Let's Win, from Anne's vision to today's award-winning program. The Lustgarten Foundation is a hero without a peer, and so are you. You've inspired us with your courage, enabled us with your gifts, refreshed us with your encouragement. You've shown an abiding confidence in us and our work without which we would have faltered. By loaning us your strength, you're equipping us to be and to do more today than ever, and more even than my beloved Anne could have possibly imagined. In the development of early diagnosis and new treatments and the ever-present search for a cure, let's go forward, let's celebrate, let's win. Now, please join me in welcoming our extraordinary Executive Director, Cindy Price-Gavin.
Thank you, Willa. Tonight, let me just get settled here. My dress really is purple, by the way. Just saying. Tonight, we celebrate collaboration in the fight against pancreatic cancer, and we are deeply honored to have so many of our PC partners from the World Pancreatic Cancer Coalition in the room with us this evening. It most certainly takes a village, and I feel incredibly blessed for the opportunity to work with such an amazing board, a rock star scientific advisory board comprised of brilliant doctors and the most dedicated and committed team. We are also so lucky to have all of you on our side. When I think back to some of my early conversations with Allison and Anne, and they shared their vision for Let's Win, I remember when they told me that their goal was to create new science-driven content every 3 business days. And I thought to myself, well, I would pretty much do anything for my dear friend Allison, but these ladies are crazy. How in the world are we gonna produce new science articles every 3 days? Well, I am thrilled to share that I could not have been more wrong. Earlier this fall, the American Association of Cancer Research hosted a special and now annual event focused on pancreatic cancer. And you would be amazed to see the hundreds of doctors and scientists dedicated to this disease. And as a result of their efforts, there has been no shortage of content. Let's Win has a robust and growing pipeline, and we have published over 300 original stories in promising science, clinical trials, managing pancreatic cancer, and my treatment stories from our patients. There have been over 1 million page views on the site. The monthly Twitter chat, our Pank Chat, has had over 140 million impressions, and we have produced over 24 survivor videos. None of this would have been possible without tonight's honoree. The Lustgarten Foundation has single-handedly changed the landscape for patients and families, funding millions of dollars of research and literally putting Let's Win on the map. Thanks to their trust in us from the very beginning, Let's Win plays a critical role in breaking down the barriers between doctors, patients, and researchers, and providing much needed information on treatment options for all patients. Our special partnership is the true meaning of collaboration. And on behalf of Team Let's Win and the entire PC community, thank you. Before we begin our award presentation, I want to recognize another one of our partners. At our inaugural benefit last year, we announced the launch of our Spanish site and our partnership with the Elvin Howard Pancreatic Cancer Advocacy Foundation. Earlier this month, I had the privilege to attend their banquet. It was an incredibly powerful program attended by over 300 guests, including the governor, mayor, and councilwoman of Louisiana. At their event, we premiered our important awareness PSA that I'd like to share with you tonight. Thank you to Sergeant Howard for joining us.
My name is Elvin Howard Jr., president of the Elvin Howard Senior Pancreatic Cancer Advocacy Foundation, which was the brainchild of my mom after my father passed from pancreatic cancer.
When he was diagnosed, his insurance would not cover certain tests.
Pancreatic cancer disproportionately affects people of color.
The cancer mortality rates, they're much higher for people of color.
And if we do know and understand why is it that we are disproportionately affected, we can tackle that directly and perhaps bring those numbers down.
I'm Cindy Gallen, founding executive director of Let's Win Pancreatic Cancer. Let's Win is an online platform that connects doctors, patients, and researchers with the latest treatment options for pancreatic cancer.
We hope to get in the mix of all of those things that the people of color have not been able to be privileged to.
Our commitment is that all patients, regardless of race, demographic, socioeconomics, or native language, should have access to the best treatment options for pancreatic cancer.
My hope is that more information is passed for those who may not have the insurance, may not have the connection to healthcare. It's a very deadly disease, and we want to make sure everyone knows that there is hope.
I am an oncologist specializing in pancreatic cancer. I want you to know that pancreatic cancer is treatable.
We are excited about our partnership with Let's Win because it gives us a national spotlight.
My goal as a BRCA mutation carrier is to raise awareness of BRCA mutations among people of color. Let's Win PC and Elvin Howard provide a really important service to pancreatic cancer patients and their families.
I think that my father would be very proud of the work that we're doing and the partnerships that we're continuing to develop so that we can really make an impact in this space.
There are so many organizations worldwide, and ultimately we're trying to get to the same goal, which is a cure for pancreatic cancer.
At this time, I'd like to invite to the stage our beloved Ann's son, David Glauber.
So, my mom's approach to pancreatic cancer was typical for her. She took an active approach, and she decided to put together her own plan with fresh ideas, the right doctors, new science, and people who would help reject the status quo. But once she had this plan in place for herself, she didn't stop. She kept going and tried to take action to help all patients with pancreatic cancer and to mitigate the impact of this disease on everybody. This is core to my mom. It's who she is. Her whole life was about taking charge and giving back. But there was a moment when the pancreatic cancer diagnosis took this essence away from my mom. And I remember it very well. It was right after a doctor had outlined the scope of her illness and offered condolences. And I looked over at my mom, and for the only time that I can remember, I saw that she looked lost. My mom never looked lost. She always knew what to do. But in this moment, she didn't know what to do. She didn't know how she should be. And I felt helpless. And it was actually Mom's dear friend, Willa, and Let's Win co-founder, who lifted us from this moment. Sitting with us, she simply suggested what we would do later that day to tackle the problem. We would call this doctor, we'd make that appointment, we'd talk to someone in the field. Willa offered ideas for the beginnings of a plan. And that's all it took. My mom returned, and for the next nearly 3 years, she took charge of her care and gave back to the pancreatic cancer community. And the most amazing thing happened along the way. People rallied around her, friends and strangers, and they came with insights and ideas and research and energy and care and love. And together, literally together, with many people in this room, my mom forged a strategy for her own care and for an organization of impact available to anyone hearing this hard diagnosis. This approach helped my mom. It helped orient her, it helped her care, and it of course helped build Let's Win. Let's Win, at its core, remembers the moment when a pancreatic cancer patient feels lost. It remembers the aftermath of that devastating diagnosis and replaces the offer of condolences with ideas, with treatment plans, with people, with experts to help. It offers the ideas for the beginnings of a plan. And I know my mom would be so proud of Let's Win because of its impact. National awards, daily contributions of patients and experts, and she would look over this crowd tonight with so much gratitude. And she would single out the Lustgarten Foundation, without whom none of this would have been possible. And she would embrace Bob and Carrie for their relentless commitment to changing the outcome of this disease. And she would say that our work has just begun. So with that, I'd like to share a brief video explaining why my mother would be celebrating the Lustgarten Foundation and this event.
When my husband, Mark Lustgarten, was diagnosed, there was nothing to turn to.
When my sister Emily was diagnosed with advanced pancreatic cancer, there was so little research being done in this field.
There were fewer than 12 researchers in the entire country doing anything on pancreatic cancer research.
The Dolan family was really looking for a cure for Mark, and that's how it started.
The Lustgarten Foundation has been instrumental in the fight against pancreatic cancer.
It's really Lustgarten that is the machine behind funding all of the great science that's turning into new therapies for patients.
The Lustgarten Foundation has played a critical role in advancing research for pancreatic cancer.
Since its inception, the Lustgarten Foundation has raised and used $188 million for pancreatic cancer research, which is so phenomenal. I do not know where progress in dealing with this disease would be without the Lustgarten Foundation. They've been that important.
There's so many things that I appreciate about the Lustgarten Foundation, but first and foremost, it's the leadership. Bob Vizza and Carrie Kaplan.
The amount of science that has come from that funding, it's just unbelievable.
There have been so many new developments, even in the last 7 years since my husband was diagnosed with the disease.
Aside from all the doctors and the researchers and the trials and the drugs, this foundation has offered hope to people that are diagnosed.
My mom was so grateful to have the chance to grow her vision of Let's Win, and that wouldn't have been possible without the support of the Lustgarten Foundation.
We're working hard on this problem. We're committed to finding a solution.
I think pancreatic cancer for so long was a forgotten cancer because it didn't have a vibrant advocacy community, because sadly there weren't many people who survived the disease. But that all changed when Lustgarten came around.
This foundation, and this is his legacy, was formed because of him, and he would be so proud. And it blows my mind when I go to some of these regional walks and the thousands of people that show up. I want to tell him. I always want to tell him, look at this. It's amazing how many lives have been touched.
And now it is a true honor to call to the stage Dr. Bob Vizza, Chair of the Lustgarten Foundation, and Carrie Kaplan, CEO and President, and our co-founder.
Me first? You first. Okay.
Wow. It's incredible to see this kind of a turnout, this kind of support, and the progress that has occurred over the last 21 years. As I think I stumbled in that video by saying that 21 years ago, when we began this foundation, the first thing I did was to go down and visit with the executive director of the National Cancer Institute. And I thought that I really had him. I had a lot of information. And I went into his office and said, "You've got to explain to me why pancreatic cancer is the fourth leading cause of cancer deaths in the country. And yet you are only giving 0.5% of your total budget, which was $3 billion. They were giving $16 million a year to pancreatic cancer research. Why is that?" And he looked at me and said, "To whom should we give the money?" And I said, "What?" He said, "There aren't any researchers out there doing research in pancreatic cancer. People don't live long, then there's not enough money to do it, and so forth. To whom should we give the money?" So I remember saying to him, "So you're telling me if there's no research, there's no money, and if there's no money, there's no research?" He said, "You got it." Okay, it set the mission for the Lustgarten Foundation, and we knew what we had to do. We had to get researchers. We had to stimulate it. Here we are 21 years later, and we have now granted, I think Katie said 180 million. Since the video was done, it's 186 million in pancreatic cancer research. But so much of this, David, you're right, so much of this is because of Ann Glauber. When Ann was diagnosed, she demonstrated that she was going to devote all of her energies, all of her strength to dealing with this disease. And she was extremely aggressive. And when I said to her, "Ann, you know, we're just starting a research program to develop an organoid which reproduces your tumor, and we can start," she said, "I want it. Get me an organoid. Make an organoid in my tumor," which we did. And she went across the country, as David described, putting a plan together. But more importantly, one day she said, "Okay, I'm fighting this disease, but now I want to do something that will have an impact on patients, increase awareness. There's so little information that's exchanged between and among pancreatic cancer patients and the community, the scientific community. Let's put a plan together." And we were sitting having a sandwich, and I said to her, "Ann, you're extraordinary. And the reason you're extraordinary is that you are putting a purpose to a personal situation which otherwise doesn't seem to have any purpose." And she did. It was her purpose to have an impact, to do something, to increase awareness, to increase patient information, to increase research. And she did that. She came on our board, and she was extraordinary. And Let's Win is the result of all of that. And I am very impressed at this turnout and what Cindy and Willa and Allison have done, and Kerry along with them. We're very, very impressed. We're pleased, we're honored, we thank you, but let us thank you. It is not us who should be honored. It is you who are supporting us, who are enabling us to do the research, to go forward. And we are on the verge of major breakthroughs. Kerry will tell you a little bit about a blood test. We have a blood test that can detect pancreatic cancer. Kerry will tell you a little bit more about it. That we are on the breakthroughs of many things in research. It's been a long time, but it's paying off. So we thank you. We thank you, Let's Win, for your support and what you're doing. We are honored to be a partner with you in your worthy cause of increasing all the information that you get out there. I'm amazed. We get something that's developed, and the next day when I go on Instagram, which my grandchildren had me go on, I see that there's something from Let's Win. And I say, that's wonderful. And I thank you very much for that. So thank you all for your support. Kerry Kaplan.
I just want to add, so I think you all know today is World Pancreatic Cancer Day. So in the car ride, my husband drove in, so in the car ride, I finally got a chance to check the Twitter feed. It was unbelievable, the Lustgarten Twitter feed. It just goes on and on and on, starting with a group of researchers at MD Anderson that said there's a bunch of people that couldn't fit into this picture. And you know, we have a lot of researchers supporting us and a lot of research stories today, but really it was the post from all of our supporters, the patients, the families, those that lost people, people spraying their hair purple, people with purple headbands. I mean, the whole world turned purple today because, as Bob said, the Lustgarten Foundation represents you all. Something has to be done for this disease. We all know it. Every corporate sponsor, every pharmaceutical, every patient, and every family member here today knows it. We have to change the face of this disease, and we're doing it. Bob alluded to Anne has an organoid. The organoids are being developed for personalized medicine for pancreatic cancer. We have a blood test that's actually being tried on healthy patients, healthy people are being followed with a blood test to see if this is, so the idea is hopefully the next time we're here next year, we'll tell you there's a routine test in your doctor's office. So really the partnership with Let's Win is about getting that information out to patients. I mean, we couldn't do it without Let's Win. We need Let's Win to post the stories and tell everybody about the great science and tell everybody to be hopeful. So it's really an honor to be on the board of Let's Win, and it's an honor to accept this. I really want to accept it for Lustgarten, for Let's Win, and for all of you. Thank you so much.
Through the eyes of another visionary patient, Juliette Jamon, and the support of the Flora Family Foundation, Let's Win provides hope and inspiration through our Survivor Series. It is a great pleasure to kick off year 3 of Let's Win Survivors.
The first oncologist I saw told me, go home and prepare to die.
So many people that I knew with this cancer don't make it.
You go onto the web, look for pancreatic cancer information. It looks overwhelming and devastating.
I was given 6 months to live, and they weren't keen on me leaving. It wasn't something that I really cared what they said. I needed to go someplace that would save my life.
I just didn't believe that it was my time.
I kept thinking that someone has to beat this. I immediately got a second opinion that took all that out of my head and said, no, he was wrong. Here's what we're going to do.
The perception of pancreatic cancer is that it's a death sentence, that people don't live very long. That's actually not the whole story.
Pancreatic cancer for a long time has been considered a death sentence, but a lot has changed over the course of the last 10 to 15 years.
Now there are hundreds of laboratories across the country that are focused on this disease.
We're consistently trying to move the bar further in terms of treating pancreatic cancer.
There will be new therapies that extend the life of pancreas cancer patients, and some of those might even be curative.
We have survivors now, not just 1-year survivors or 2-year survivors, but we're seeing people living for 5, 10, even 15 or more years.
I'm a 7-year stage 4 pancreatic cancer survivor.
I was diagnosed back in 2012.
I was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer 8 years ago.
I'm a 9-year neuroendocrine pancreatic cancer survivor.
I was diagnosed about 11 years ago.
I'm an 11-year stage 4 pancreatic cancer survivor.
I'm a 15-year pancreatic cancer survivor.
They are the evidence that pancreatic cancer is not a death sentence.
It is so vitally important that people with pancreatic cancer do not feel they have a death sentence.
This is a very serious effort. It's an international effort.
The world of pancreatic cancer care has changed so drastically.
So many people get told, there's no hope, go home and pass away. I recommend a second opinion because a second opinion saved my life.
There is hope. There's new research every day, so just don't give up.
I think the strength that you get from surviving pancreatic cancer is an appreciation of just existing.
It taught me how strong I really am. And I feel like I can conquer the world.
Everybody who I talk to, when I tell them that I have pancreatic cancer, say, you still here, you're a miracle. So, yeah, I'm just grateful. Just truly grateful.
How can you not be moved? How can you not be motivated by what we've just seen and heard? I hung on every word that David spoke about his mother, Anne. And I don't know if anyone here caught it, but I did. David was talking about Anne's attributes. And he said, that's just who my mother is. Present tense. Anne is here. Anne is here. This is what Anne has done. And I'm so very grateful to be a part of it tonight with you. I shouldn't have worn English leather cologne. It makes me cry something fierce. But my dad said it was this or canoe. I want to introduce you to two people very dear in my life. You can call them hope and promise. I want to bring up to the stage my brother Steve. Come on up, Steve. Let me tell you about Steve. Steve, 3 years ago, was diagnosed with stage 4 adenocarcinoma. And we both remember that night vividly. The stoic silence and the stares. But Steve immediately had hope. And then everything came into focus when we met Promise. And I'd like to bring her up now too. Our sister, our guiding light, Dr. Allison Ocean. Now let me tell you what it's like to witness hope and promise every day. We are unfortunately and fortunately frequent flyers at Cornell. And when we walk into that waiting room, hope over here, walks around that room and introduces himself and extends himself, and with the touch of a hand or an inquisitive silence or a kernel of information or a snack. Later on, when we go home tonight, I'm going to tell him he needs to shut up when I speak.
Again.
Steve makes people feel better. Steve makes people feel less afraid. Steve shares of himself, and he provides people with often what they need the most, which is what Let's Win is all about. And that is a sense of hope. And then there's Allison. I remember when we first met Allison. And Steve sat there and he listened and he listened. And one of the last things we said before we left was, tell us where we are. And Allison said, the only statistic that counts is you. These two are priceless. Can you imagine being in a room, waiting scared and having my brother come up to you and make you feel better? Or going in to see a doctor who is so compassionate and honest and forthright, who spends every minute she has with you. Everyone should have that. And that is what Let's Win is. Do you know what it's like when you're scared and you see a video like that? You say, there's hope. And when you get information that was unavailable before, all of a sudden you say, there's promise. We are going to shed tears of happiness. We are going to shed tears of happiness because Bob and Kerry are going to see to it, because Let's Win is going to make sure it happens, and because each and every one of you tonight is engaged. Everyone. I know how these fundraisers work. I speak at a ton of them every year. Some of you are here because you know someone. Some of you are here because you have PC. Others of you just came because through somebody who knows somebody, you wanted to be supportive. Well, you're stuck now. We need everybody. We need everybody to be an ambassador. We need everyone to be a supporter. And we can't spend a moment without keeping our foot on the gas. So, I've been left with the awkward task of trying to monetize that. And I know we all give, and I know we all have a million responsibilities. And I'm telling you, there is no more important mission. Earlier today, I don't know, I hope there are many here who remember Roland Schneider. So, earlier today, Citizens Bank announced a match for all employee donations to Let's Win in memory of Roland tonight, and that is amazing. So everyone tonight was given a pen at registration to support our mission. So please click that 3 times. Carol Merrill here is going to do that for you. There we go. The pen lights up. Okay, there we go. That's what happens when Cindy goes to the gift show. Okay, so we have spotters in the room, and I am asking you to give what you can. And I'm going to start with an absurd number and simply pray someone responds, and if not, we'll move on. So $10,000 underwrites 1 month of original Let's Win science articles, which educate and empower patients and families. When you are diagnosed, when you are symptomatic, all you want to do is get reliable information, clearly, concisely written, and understandable. That's what this does. $10,000 creates basically a library for someone to lean on, because not everyone lives in New York and Miami and Chicago and Los Angeles and Boston and Houston and Dallas. Some people live in red states. So $10,000 underwrites 1 month of original Let's Win science articles. I'm going to ask quickly if there is anyone here who might be so moved tonight to donate $10,000. Or two? Oh my God. The Gavins, the Grays, you people are remarkable. $20,000, 2 months of articles which live on and on and on and on. Thank you so much. 3. $30,000, $30,000. Jay, good to see you, my friend. You look fantastic. God bless you. Thank you so much, Jay Bozick. Anyone else? Now is not the time to have a light malfunction on your pen. For $5,000, you can underwrite one of these beautifully produced survivor videos, providing hope and inspiration and information to patients and their loved ones. Do you understand what it means to be facing down this disease and all of a sudden to identify someone and say, that can be me? Yes. Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Steve. Ladies and gentlemen, Steve Price, Harvard 83, 84. Is there anyone, please raise your hand if you have $5,000 that you would consider putting towards this cause. 5,000. I'm looking around. Just scream out your name. Tom Corman? Tom, thank you very much. 5,000. 5,000. I'm continuing to scan the room. Anyone else? $5,000. 5,000. 5,000. Now, if we can get 10 people, a minion, we can subtitle that for a few. If we can get 10 people, we can put together $10,000 worth of outreach in person. Ways we can, 1,000? 1,000. You know what? I'm going to see your 1,000. I'm going to give 1,000. 1. Hold your hand high. 2, 3, 4, 5. Keep them up. 5, 6. Come on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Everyone keep your hands up. Take your wallets out and move forward towards a wall. Everyone, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. $12,000. Keep them up. Keep them up until someone gets to you, please. This is very important. You can go to the table back there also, and we have apparently free alcohol for you. So keep them up. Please, shh. If you have volunteered to do this, I've counted on it. Don't let me down. Keep your hands up or go over to the table. Where is the table? The table is in the back corner, okay? I count at least $12,000. Sign up the Price family, $1,000. $500. $500. Just raise it, raise it, raise it, raise it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Keep them up. Keep them, just keep them up. And where is that table? Apparently they have Tito's over there. So there we go. If you can walk toward that table for a quick moment, please. You're $500 people, you're $1,000 people. Shh. Over there, $250. Can you imagine that if everyone else in this room gave $100 or $250, where we would be right now? We have about 300 people in the room. Think of that number. So I'm going to ask first for $250. Could you raise your hands or raise your pens? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. $250. $250. Would you mind just to keep things going? Rachel Reinhardt, who donated the beautiful jewelry tonight, the necklaces the ladies are buying. Thank you. They're gorgeous, Rachel Reinhardt. Thank you for the $250. Let's walk toward the table back there. There's more free caponata. Oh, Jackie Greenstein, the love of my life. Another picture of hope. Jackie, thank you, Zoe. $250. Now, finally, what I would love is just a sea of hands for $100. $100, just to say, you know what? Yes, we are going to solve this. Between Lustgarten and Let's Win, our third annual event is going to be our celebration event for having unlocked all of this. Hands up, please, for $100. $100. Now, I'm going to ask you at some point to please, we have a log jam over there, which is fantastic. I'm asking you if you could please honor your pledge, and at some point before you leave, go over to that table. And we will be ever so grateful for your donation. Now, we also have cards for anonymous donations at the Touch of Purple table. Please visit that table. We have gorgeous holiday gifts and a great way to support the cause. We have more Rachel Reinhardt necklaces and men. Oh, there we go. Modeled by our lovely Carol Merrill herself, Dr. Allison Ocean. And we have beautiful, thank you, Steve. We have beautiful purple cufflinks as well. And all of that money goes towards Let's Win. I want to remind you to everyone, watch tomorrow at the closing bell of NASDAQ. We'll be celebrating. And keep hope and promise in your minds and in your heart as we move forward. And the three of us cannot wait to see you next year to continue this cause. We are on our way. God bless the memory of Ann Glauber. And God bless the Lustgarten Foundation. Thank you very much. Let's spend some time together and celebrate all that we have achieved so far.
outside.